Hello, welcome to my presentation. My name is Rahmah Nur Rizki from Department of Economics and Development Studies, Faculty of Economics and Business, Padjadjaran University. First, I would like to say thank you for Mr. Estro Daryanto Sihaloho, SA.MSE as Supervisor, Mrs. Alfia Hasana, SAMEC as Examiner 1, Mrs. Fitria Suti, SE.MSE PhD as Examiner 2, and the audience that watched my presentation from many places, thank you for your support and your attendance. And today, I'm here to tell you about the results of my research over the last 2 years. Without any further ado, let me begin. Back in 2006, Quigley et al. Dropped the latest projection on how glaucoma spread wider around the world. Flaxman et al. Conclude this projection with three main points. They are, first, approximately 285 million people have visual impairment, and 39 million people of them get blind. Glaucoma causes 2% of visual impairment and 8% of permanent blindness. And in 2020, glaucoma patients will increase by approximately 76 million worldwide. From all of these summaries, I'm really intrigued by the prospect of Indonesian health awareness of glaucoma aspect and write it in this research called The Determinants of Healthcare Costs for Glaucoma Patients in Cicendo Hospital, Bandung, Indonesia. So, what is glaucoma? Glaucoma, based on Liu et al. In 2018, is a disease characterized by the damaged optic nerve and visual impairment, including the increased eye pressure that may cause blindness. And there are three major categories for glaucoma that will be investigated about on the studies. They are, first, primary glaucoma. As you can see, from the image of the patients that suffered from glaucoma have the subcategory from the primary glaucoma itself. They are at the right side, they are angial-closed glaucoma, and the left side, there is the open angial-glaucoma. And the second is the secondary glaucoma. The secondary glaucoma is basically the collection of disorders of glaucoma that occurs by some external causes. And the third is congenital glaucoma that occur by the children before the age of 3 years. So, what is the impact of glaucoma on economic aspect? The impact of economic aspect by glaucoma is the vision loss from glaucoma itself has the significant negative impact on health quality and create a big economic burden. And from the delayed diagnosis and treatment of glaucoma will create a higher cost to the patient. For example, first, for the H et al. In 2018 found that the late diagnosis on receiving intraocular lenses will lead to the higher cost of the treatment. And the Lascano Gomez et al. In 2016 found that the low middle income suffered more from the cost of glaucoma treatment rather than the higher and middle income one. From all of this situation, the aims and objectives for the research is the analyze. I would like to say I would want to know the analyze factors on the total cost of glaucoma patients healthcare at Cicendo Eye Hospital, Bandung, Indonesia. For the study, I will use the cross-sectional study from the patient's medical records and the glaucoma clinic sections, Cicendo Hospital, Bandung. Basically, it's just the secondary data. And there will be the statistical analysis with the descriptive statistic and robust linear regression. From the medical record in 2018, I've got the 4,269 the population of the patients and use only the 3,358 patients as the total sample. And the disease collected based on the ICD-10 glaucoma references guided, and it was categorized by the primary glaucoma, secondary glaucoma, and congenital glaucoma. The model that will be investigated is summarized on the medicine costs and the patient treatment costs affected by these variables. And they are, first, the age of patients, second, treatment status, healthcare utilization, primary glaucoma, secondary glaucoma, and congenital glaucoma, persons of intraocular lenses, and the last is the government aid payment, or we could say BPJS. Using the summary statistic on numerical variables, I found that patients diagnosed with the primary glaucoma more than 50 years old with 782 patients and spread between 11 to above 50 years old. For the secondary glaucoma, elder people diagnosed more than younger patients, but having this little fact that 23 patients around until 13 years old is right here, visit the secondary glaucoma. Last is the congenital glaucoma that marked by the blue color that suffered by 16 children below 10 years. On the left side, we have three aspects of the variables. First, patients who comes to the clinic as the interval of the cost is fairly high from $10,000 until 71 million rupiah. So I will use cost for minimize the interval itself. And for the next section, I would like to explain about the analysis of my regression. And this is my regression analysis on the past regression that showed about on the table. And for this presentation, I would like to say about two main points of variables. They are age and hospitalized and outpatient status. For the age, is proven by Song et al. In 2017 and proven itself by my regression that patient that 1 year older than another patient could be increasing the glaucoma healthcare cost significantly by 0.7%. And actually, Song et al. Found that the age is strong association with glaucoma. Estimated that 3% of patients that above 40 years old currently has glaucoma. And the second one is about the times of treatment with each time patient. The check to the hospital increased the payment by 17.2% and 2002% higher if the patient is hospitalized. So this found is agreed by Al-Madani et al. In 2017 and Lin et al. In 2019. And they both agreed about the times of treatment could increase the patient's cost for the glaucoma treatment, and whether the patient has been hospitalized before, it will be increase the cost respectively. On the next session, I will focus on the glaucoma itself. There are three measures of the type of glaucoma itself. There are congenital glaucoma, primary glaucoma, and secondary glaucoma. So basically, the secondary glaucoma is not really significant, but it's proven by McKinley et al. That is, secondary glaucoma could increase the expenditure by 8.5%. And the congenital glaucoma, approved by Mandal et al. In 2018 and Liu et al. In 2017, costs on congenital glaucoma could increase the expenditure by 114.3%. And actually, Mandal et al. Said that the cost will burden not only to the patients, but also burden to the caregiver to the patients. And the last is, people with earlier treatment will be served less cost as treatment for primary glaucoma will increase the expenditure by 28.4%. And it approved by Liu et al. In 2017. And last, I will talk to you about the intraocular lenses and BPJS users. Those who have IOL lenses will increase the expenditure by 14.2%, and it approved by Azura Blanco et al. And Java Bang et al. So, Azura Blanco studied on 30 hospitals in 5 countries that less extractions on IOL is more expensive than the standard care of glaucoma, with actually having a good side of them, which is the cost effectiveness of the treatment will be increased by 14,000 euro 14,000 euro. And the last is BPJS has decreased the payment by 48.9% and significant in 10%. It is approved by Nayak et al. In 2015 and Puspasari et al. In 2020. Nayak et al. Said that 8% of the patients on glaucoma reimbursed by government insurance scheme, and Puspasari found that BPJS could, could decrease the cost of the patient by 2.71%. So this is the conclusion and recommendation for the study. There are some factors that increase the total cost of care in glaucoma, and they are hospitalization status, age, times of treatment, having primary glaucoma and congenital glaucoma, and the last is presence of intraocular lenses. And conversely, patients' care hospital costs was negatively and significantly affected by insurance in 10%. This result will be a precautionary measure for, first, the medical institution to consider better financial planning for the service delivery on glaucoma patients, and the government consideration for the public health program about glaucoma can sustain people with a better service and make concrete policies about glaucoma healthcare. And the next research that I would lately to find about is the direct costs associated with the glaucoma and the direct costs of glaucoma aspect, especially from the social costs. And this research were considered significant at 5%, and this research has gone through the ethical review process and obtained accurate information by the research committee of Universitas Padjadjaran. And of course, give our deepest gratitude to Cicendo Hospital Bandung, Indonesia for the patient medical records and humble response each time. If you want to know about the concept of this article, you can visit Media Kesehatan Masyarakat Indonesia for volume 16 and issue 4 in 2020, and hope it will enlighten this material better. Thank you very much. See you next time.